Tonight on News 5 Live, the joint unions and government representatives resume discussions. Is GOB yielding to the demands of teachers and public officers? A memo from the Ministry of Human Development. All social workers must sign register amid strike action. And the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Where are we with the coverage so far? Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Instead, I want to celebrate my mother, the voice of reason behind every decision I've ever made. Every all-nighter I survived because she sat by my side. The values she's instilled, I will take with me forever. And I know that you have given me more than I can ever give back to you.
Mothers, our everyday superheroes. The Belize Bank salutes you. Happy Mother's Day.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
Do you need to apply for a Social Security card? With our newest online service, My Social Security, applying for a card just got easier. With a My Social Security account, you can apply for a card anytime and anywhere, putting you in control. To use this service, you must first create your My Social Security account. Visit our website. Under Online Services, select My Social Security, provide your personal information, and await activation of your new account. After activation, you are free to log in to your My Social Security account to complete your online application for a Social Security card. Be sure to book your registration appointment to finish the card application process. Gain control and truly experience Social Security at your fingertips.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, May 5th. I am Sabrina Daly. The Joint Unions negotiating team and representatives of the Briceño administration resumed discussions on Tuesday afternoon. That meeting was held at the House of Culture here in Belize City and lasted for almost 6.5 hours. Both parties later exited the compound at around 7 p.m. Today we spoke with the president of the Public Service Union, Gerald Henry, and he was unable to provide specific details of the meeting because discussions with government are still ongoing. He did, however, mention that the discussions were cordial and that the joint unions finally feel that they have entered negotiations.
As it relates to the atmosphere of the meeting, usually our meetings are tend to be very, very cordial, and it always appears as if though we are here to achieving something, no? And that remains the case. It seemed to me that it tended more towards being now a negotiation as opposed to, prior to that, which would have been just simply the government consulting with us to satisfy the laws we kept saying. So, we are hoping that, that we could have some meaningful discussions going forward with the hope that, that it will continue to be a negotiation, or it will be a full-fledged negotiation. Because we want to try to end this impasse as well, no, as quickly as possible. We have to communicate to our membership exactly what has taken place, what is expected to take place, tomorrow especially, and perhaps a few days, into next week, and then we see what they say about it, and then we take back their position to the government, because when we speak, we don't speak for ourselves. We speak the voice of our membership. And so that is what we communicate to the government, and then the government will then in turn do similar to what we are doing and communicate what their leadership, which is of course the reverse of how we work, because we are a true democracy.
The joint unions are set to meet with GOB representatives at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We were not able to get any response from the government's side on yesterday's meeting. But the minister responsible for public service, Henry Charles Usher, did inform News 5 by text today that Deputy Prime Minister Crocodile Hyde may speak tomorrow at the conclusion of that meeting. Earlier today, our newsroom received images of burning tires near Cotton Tree Village along the George Price Highway. Reports are that sometime around 5:30 a.m., at least 3 tires were set on fire in the middle of the road. Law enforcement officers were immediately dispatched to the scene and quickly doused the flames to allow for the smooth flow of traffic. When we caught up with PSU President Gerald Henry via Zoom today, we asked whether this was a part of the union's protest actions. Here is his response.
Actually, no, I can't say, that I know of it coming from PSU. It could very well be our members who decided to take more serious actions. We have been doing our best to try to limit things like this, because as we have said, that almost from the very beginning that we had certain members who were serious about not us taking more drastic actions. And we are the ones who, as leaders, we are that kind of activity, and try to get them to allow the process to work. But I don't know if it is that since we have intensified just a little bit with regards to now being in strike mode, that some of them have take it on their own. I really can't see it.
Social workers within the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs are in fear of possible victimization after Chief Executive Officer Tanya Santos issued a memo to her directors in response to the recent industrial actions. In a letter dated May 4, 2021, with the heading Strike Action, CEO Santos requested that officers sign in and sign out upon their arrival and departure from work each day. Additionally, heads of departments will be required to submit daily reports on all absences by 9:30 a.m. According to the memo and in accordance with Regulation 80 of the Public Service Act, no vacation leave can be approved during strike action. Also, as noted in the message, the regulation stipulates that officers who are on vacation leave must return to work if strike action continues. News 5 spoke with CEO Santos via Zoom. She told us that while public officers have a constitutional right to strike, there are certain regulations that public officers must adhere to.
The intent of this memo really is multi-purpose. One, it is to acknowledge to my staff, my public officers, that you have a right, you have a constitutional right for industrial action to strike. That is fine, that is normal, that is understood, and there is no disputing that. But with those rights also come obligations. No rights go without obligations. And I don't know how many public officers are aware of the obligations that come when it comes to industrial action. And I will refer to Public Service Regulation 80, Clause 5, which states that at the commencement of a strike, chief executive officers or heads of department shall inform all public officers on leave of the existence of the strike and request them to report for duty immediately. And it gives exceptions when that can happen, and that is offered in the memo as well. If there are exceptions that can be made, it can be done, and it tells them how to do it. But it goes further later on in clause 81, 81R5, where a major misconduct, including in what is classified as a major misconduct when it comes to discipline, is failure to report to duty during a strike pursuant to Regulation 80. So I didn't write the public service regulations.
Now, the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs addresses some of the most critical needs of our society, including community rehabilitation, human services, and women and family support. The ministry is staffed with 300 employees, which include social workers. And according to the memo, these measures are being put in place to ensure that those critical services remain available. But what guarantee is there that these public officers will not be victimized for their absence during strike actions? Here's what CEO Santos told us.
God forbid we have an emergency situation or we have a case that goes from bad to worse. You know, we serve among the poorest in our communities, the most vulnerable, victims of abuse, women in domestic situations, children in all kinds of abuse, the elderly. God forbid that one of these days, while the strike action is in place, we have a situation that goes from bad to worse, and we cannot respond adequately because we do not have our social workers present. We need, as a government, as a ministry, as our departments, to make sure that we have the continued service.
We know how the system works in that just by deductive reasoning, you can figure out who is absent. How can you guarantee an officer, one of your officers, that they will not be victimized when their position, section, and reason for absence is sent in?
For instance, there's a community rehabilitation officer. There's several community rehabilitation officers. There's several different positions of the same position in each department. So how do I know if it's one or the other, if it's this person or the other? My hands are full all day, every day. I don't have the time nor the interest to go into those details to find out who is who and who is doing what. What I'm interested in is making sure the work gets done. And I'm a very principled person. I started the interview saying, I know what it's like to be victimized. I have experienced it. I know what it caused in my life. Therefore, I do not wish that on anyone else, and I will not go out of my way, because it's literally going out of your way to find out who is there and who is not there and why they're not there in order to victimize them.
And while CEO Santos seeks to assure her social workers that she is not out on a witch hunt, she says the number of social workers not reporting for duty currently is very minimal. According to the Chief Executive Officer, choosing between strike action and the obligation to their clients is an ethical dilemma.
From the reports I've gotten, it's very minimal. And I think it goes back to the ethics that a lot of these social workers have, that, you know what, they've expressed it to me. Some of them have expressed it to me. It is an ethical dilemma they face, because while they want to go on strike and they believe that the strike action is worthy, it's a worthy cause, they also feel that sense of obligation to their clients. You know what it's like, even as a parent, you have somebody out there depending on you to feel better, to get through a bad experience, or to go from a bad place to a better place. You have that obligation, that sense of obligation to want to do something for them, to want to bring them out of that situation. So I can fully understand and appreciate what these social workers are going through, that dilemma they have. And it shows in the absences. It's very few. So I am grateful to them for that, and it demonstrates their commitment. And I want to ensure that commitment to our people continues.
Coming up, 11% of Belize's population has received a first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. We'll tell you how fast the program is moving.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone, so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800 A Way Out, or our cell phone number, 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize, with funding from the Engender and Spotlight Project.
We are faced with crisis situations, and we take up the duty as the Red Cross staff and volunteers to respond to the humanitarian needs of affected people. One thing that is certain is that we now have a vaccine we can take to bring back some sense of normalcy for all of us. I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine. I will take the vaccine when it's my turn, and so will my staff and volunteers. I urge you to take it too. #GetVaccinated-Belize.
It is my time
to protect your life.
Don't wait to vaccinate.
I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine.
Do not hesitate, Belize. Vaccinate. Be COVID-19 safe.
The vaccine is the best way to protect lives.
Don't wait. Vaccinate.
If you care,
Love them.
Protect them.
Vaccinate them.
Offside!
Was that a goal? Over.
Nestle. Start healthy, stay healthy.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Nation, rain or shine, any weather. When we go ball, we go Berger. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go ball, we go Berger. Let your imagination run free. Any color for this place, when we say ball, that mean it don't peel. Quality in every color, lifetime guarantee. When we go ball, we go Berger. When we go ball, we go Berger. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go ball, we go Berger.
Want to leave a lasting impact when you travel? Then travel locally. Make memories to treasure for a lifetime while making a difference. Make protected areas your next travel destination. With over 25 protected areas under the APAMO umbrella, the possibilities for adventure and education are endless. You can bond with friends and family while trekking through the jungles to discover natural pools and breathtaking views. Or take that snorkeling trip to the magnificent world of coral gardens and marine life. Then camp under the stars to end off that perfect day in nature.
By visiting protected areas, you are helping to preserve valuable plant and animal life. You're building local communities and you're keeping our natural and cultural heritage alive.
You have that power. Travel locally and make an impact. We invite you to visit a protected area near you and discover the beauty of Belize's wild places. APAMO, the voice of Belize's protected areas.
The COVID-19 vaccination campaign was launched on March 1st, and phases 1 to 3 are currently open, allowing for teachers, parliamentarians, law enforcement officers, healthcare workers, and others to be inoculated. The highest vaccination coverage for first dose is healthcare workers, with 85.3%. 51% of teachers have been vaccinated, and 50% of the elderly population. In an update, Dr. Natalia Larga Espada Bear told News 5 that so far, an overall 10.7% of the population has received a first jab of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine.
We are now have opened phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. To date, we have administered 45,113 doses of COVID-19 vaccine, and that represents 10.7% of the total population of Belize. we know that the population that is eligible is 18 years and older.
But there's an appeal for persons to visit vaccination centers across the country to get their jab. Belize received donations from the governments of Barbados and India, as well as 33,600 doses via the COVAX facility. And while the vaccination rate is higher than many other countries, there is still the need for the elderly and persons from other vulnerable populations to get vaccinated.
It's no secret that last year they represented 80% of the persons that died from COVID-19. They have a greater risk of getting infected, so we need to protect them, same like persons with comorbidities. So those phases are open, but unfortunately some of them depends on others to bring them in. No? So we are calling on those relatives that have persons 60 years and older that haven't come in for the vaccine. They are still in time not to come in. The phases will continue open for those. And I usually remind the audience, that worldwide we thought that COVID-19 was just one more respiratory infection. Today we know that COVID-19 is a systemic disease. And today we learn that, and we continue to learn every day, we learn that COVID-19 can lead to chronic illness. So that will increase the demand for services. So the message is, why expose someone to go through these series of events and complications when it can be prevented now with a vaccine? So we call on all those who are in the different groups to make much of the opportunity that the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the government of Belize is offering to the population for their own protection against COVID-19.
12 weeks after getting your first jab, you are to return to a vaccination center to receive your second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. For those who were among the first to be inoculated, within the next 2 weeks, that second jab is due. Dr. Bear says that for those frontline healthcare workers, it is recommended that their second dose is taken now.
The second dose can be administered between 8 weeks and 12 weeks after giving the first dose. For healthcare workers, we are stressing that they get their second dose now. 8 weeks has passed since the first dose, and we want to make sure that they are well protected. They are the persons that are in contact with or will be in contact, if we should have an increase in the number of cases of COVID-19, and the rest of the population can wait until 12 weeks to get their second dose. But of course, if persons 60 years and older, because some of them, we did give them appointment for 8 weeks. If they show up, they will get their second dose. But the recommendation is 8 to 12 weeks. So we are asking those that are not 60 years and older if they can wait a little. And then we prioritize healthcare workers and persons 60 years and older.
During our interview with Dr. Bear, she did confirm that at the end of the month of May, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine expires. This increases the urgency for why persons who fall within the open vaccination phases should come out and get their jabs. But Dr. Bear says that the ministry is working strategically to increase deployment to vaccination centers across the country.
It's not that there is a bunch of vaccines there that will expire. The vaccines that we are providing currently expire in end of May this year. So we have enough time to get those vaccines in arms. And we are confident, that this week we have seen a low, but a lot is ongoing. On our side, the supply side, and I guess it's influencing the demand side also. So we just have to be cognizant of the context in which we are working currently. So we hope to have a better situation next week that will help us to increase our deployment to the rural communities, our deployment to several vaccination sites in a given day and not just one, to facilitate, the population to get access to the vaccines.
The next shipment of vaccines through the COVAX facility is expected to arrive in Belize at the end of May. According to Dr. Baer, those vaccines are coming from Italy. The latest COVID-19 data shows that the numbers are once again on the decline. Today, there are 5 new confirmed cases, bringing the total number of active cases to 85. While there were no deaths recorded for some days now, the total deaths reported are 323 since the pandemic began. There were also 7 new recoveries, and the daily positivity rate is down to 1.2%. Dr. Baer says that the Ministry of Health and Wellness continues with outreach and testing.
We just need to remind ourselves that COVID-19 is transmitted from person to person. Now remember that persons who may be infected, 80% of them are asymptomatic. And hence the reason, even if we receive a first or second dose of vaccines, we must continue protecting ourselves because we don't know exactly who is infected or not. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has invested in providing and rolling out the rapid testing, not only at health facility, but at community level. So we highly encourage the community members to make much of these outreach sessions, providing the rapid testing, because that's the only way we will know where is the increased number of cases so that we can intervene with the community to contain the transmission of the virus.
After the break, BNN comes out in support of the Belize Maya Forest. 13th Senator Osmani Salas explains need for conservation. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
The Public Utilities Commission, PUC, hereby notifies the public that on April 30th, 2021, it made its initial decision in respect of the 2021 Annual Review Proceeding, ARP, for the Belize Electricity Limited, BEL. The Belize Electricity Limited, BEL, made a submission for an Annual Review Proceeding, ARP, on April 1st, 2021. It requested that both the mean electricity rate, MER, at $0.4018 of a dollar per kilowatt hour and tariffs be retained for the next annual tariff period as per values set in the 2020 FTRP final decision. In applying the rate-setting methodology RSM, the MER was assessed to be $0.399 of a dollar per kilowatt hour for the remainder of the full tariff period from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024, as compared to $0.4018 of a dollar per kilowatt hour previously assessed in the 2020 FTRP final decision. In its initial decision, the Commission has retained the current schedule of fees and charges levied by BEL, but has reduced the tariffs in consequence of a downward assessment in the MER to $0.399 of a dollar per kilowatt hour. The deadline for comments from interested parties on the initial decision is by the close of business on May 10, 2021. The initial decision may be viewed in its entirety at the offices of the Public Utilities Commission at 41 Gabriel Lane, Belize City, or on the PUC website at www.puc.bz. Further details will also be published in the next edition of several newspapers widely circulated in Belize.
As a new mom, there are moments of pride, joy, and doubt. Yes, doubt. Has he slept enough? Does she have everything that she needs? Will she be okay in the sun? These doubts come from love. For the good of baby, 2 servings of Nestum are full of all the goodness and naturalness of the cereals that your baby needs to blossom. That's one less thing to worry about. Nestum, it's all good, Mom.
Learn more online with Nestle Baby and Me.
DG and the National Bank of Belize are proud to partner with the government of Belize to facilitate the disbursement of Belize COVID-19 cash transfer funds via our safe and easy-to-use mobile pays platform. After getting approval that you will be a beneficiary of the relief funds, you will be informed by SMS when your monthly payment has been deposited to your mobile pays account, which Digistore or National Bank branch you were assigned to, and when you can go in to collect. You must bring along the phone that the notification was sent to in order to present your account number and to receive your validation code and SMS receipt. You must also bring along a valid Social Security card. After your information is verified, you will receive a validation code which you are to give to the agent. The agent will hand over the full amount of funds allotted to you for that month, and you will receive an SMS receipt with a unique number for that transaction. Digi and the National Bank of Belize are committed to the development of innovative services for the benefit of all Belizeans.
RFNG has been a part of my growth. We have gone from working from just an office to also working from home, and I'm in between both, and I have a very supportive staff that helps me to get that done, and I also have a great company behind me that supports the changing times that we're going through. I am your neighbor, I am your friend, I am your RFNG agent.
Find your nearest RFNG agent on our website at rfginsuranceBelize.com, where it pays to get it right.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
The Belize network of NGOs led by Senator Osmani Salas has come out in defense of the Belize Maya Forest project, which has been criticized by parliamentarians in the upper house. BNN stands behind its support for the initiative, touting it as, quote, yet another excellent example of the opportunities that we can capitalize on while using our natural resources wisely, safeguarding their long-term value to our water and food security, unquote. Citing the impacts of climate change, the release from the network says that it will continue to advocate for economic development that is long-term and sustainable. Earlier today, News 5 spoke with Senator Salas.
The Belize network of NGOs is fully supportive of the Belize Maya Forest initiative or project because of what it stands for. It is, along with the Rio Bravo Conservation and Management Area, it represents the last remaining stands of forest that we can talk about in that region. An area that prior to the lands being purchased by the Alliance of Conservation Organizations was an imminent threat of being deforested. It's an area of tremendous importance. If we only talk about it nationally, it really protects the headwaters of some of the important watersheds in northern Belize, Rio Bravo, the parts of the Rio Hondo, parts of the New River, etc. But it also links us to the larger Maya Forest region in southern Mexico and western, or I should say eastern Guatemala. So put together, after the Amazon, it is one of our most important forests in the hemisphere, right? So it is of tremendous importance, and our concern is that with it being treated as a political football, it could risk the initiative. For that 236,000 acres to have been secured really took a lot.
According to Senator Salas, the Belize Maya Forest Project is not the first land trust to be established in Belize. In fact, he says the Rio Bravo Trust was established in the late 80s and remained to the benefit of the Belizean people ever since.
One of the main benefits is that, set up as a land trust, as is the objective, and as is the case with the agreements that have been signed. It really secures it for the government and people of Belize. That's what a land trust is. And this would not be the first land trust. There have been other land trust arrangements in the country. The one most Belizeans probably know about, and which probably was the very first one, is the Rio Bravo Conservation and Management Area. There's also the Shipstone Conservation and Management Area in northeastern Belize, some of the tied, private lands in southern Belize, and there are a couple others. So this is not the first. This sort of follows in the steps of what has been done before, right? So we are very concerned that with some of the pronouncements that have been made by elected and unelected government officials and sort of accusations that have been levied, or that it could potentially endanger this very important initiative.
Turning back to unions, teachers have been on strike since Monday of last week. The law provides that teachers' salaries can be cut for their time out of the classroom during this period. But that decision is left up to the managing authorities of the schools. Well, on Tuesday, BNTU President Senator Elena Smith accused the Ministry of Education of requesting managing authorities to cut the pay for those teachers out on strike. The union took a similar matter to court following their 2016 strike actions.
We are aware that the ministry has been requesting managing authorities to do so. That is not the job of the ministry. It is the job of the managing authority, and they should not be asked by any other entity to do that, or encouraged, or whatever word they want to use. Nobody should do that. It should be them alone making that decision. But we are aware of otherwise, and you all will recall the case that we took to court in 2016 for that very same reason.
While teachers are waiting to see if their pay slips will reflect that salary deduction, on a similar front, the joint unions are fighting to regain the 10% salary cut for teachers and public officers, reflected in the 2021 to 2022 budget. According to President of the APSSM, Sharon Fraser, while the bill has been passed by the upper house, the decision is reversible. President Fraser explained how a supplementary revenue allocation bill can cover the budgetary shortfalls and make up for the 10%.
In the end, the last result, the last letter that came to us was to tell us that the Minister of the Public Service was going to advise the Governor General to cut salaries 12,000 and above 12,000, 10%. So I want to get that straight. It's 10%.
Across the board?
Across the board.
Including lower earners?
No, above $12,000, right? So that is the position. Now, in terms of what would happen if we were to be successful and they said, okay, fine. That's easy. Every day they pass supplemental budget in the House. For little or nothing, they pass supplemental. So that can be solved in that form. So even if the budget has the cut in it, well, not even if, it has the cut in it, they can always go back and pass a supplemental budget to cover the shortfalls to make up that 10% if in fact we are successful.
When we return, a crocodile is on the loose and the final preparations for Iris Salguero, who leaves to represent the jewel at the Miss Universe pageant. Stay with us.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esa es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate, man.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
Next Gen sales event are back. Sign up and save big on cable and internet service with even more promos and discounts available at our upcoming event in your area. This month, find us in Belmopan City on May 7th and in Belize City and San Ignacio Town on May 15th. Keep following Central TV and Internet on Facebook and Instagram for more information on our sales event location and promotions. Next Gen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
Today, News 5 spoke with Chaneli Carrillo Balan from the Forest Department, who confirmed that earlier this year, a 16-foot crocodile had escaped from the enclosure at the Caribbean Shrimp Farm in Ladyville. It is one of 2 that had escaped, but one was recaptured, and now the department continues to monitor the situation. Balan says that the department has been working closely with ACES, the American Crocodile Education Sanctuary, which is based in San Pedro, when dealing with situations involving crocodiles.
Measures that were taken to see if we could capture the crocodiles again, to make
make sure that they weren't going to be an issue to the surrounding homes in that area. So yes, there was that situation, but it is something that we're working on, and definitely it's not something that we have forgotten. It really depends on how the crocodile behaves. For example, this crocodile, we're not sure how exactly it will behave. It is behaving right now. So we haven't seen that becoming a reality, that's sneaking out and causing problems somewhere else. But we, of course, always talk to people around areas where there can possibly be conflict, that you need to be careful, and not just because of, for example, this crocodile, but just all crocodiles in general. We need to take precautions just to make sure that we're not in a dangerous situation, so that we can take care of our pets, our homes, and our families.
There are reports from residents in the Vista Del Mar community who say that they have spotted a crocodile in the area. But is it the croc that recently escaped from an enclosure at a farm in the Milpa area of the village? Due to the connecting creeks in the mangrove area, the reptile can traverse the area. The situation is being closely monitored, and at this time, the chairman of the Ladyville Village Council is asking residents to stay vigilant.
We have at least 400 homes plus in Vista Del Mar area, and I would like to basically appeal to them if they see any crocodiles around, apparently, well, the 16-foot crocodile that we have heard is in this area. I would like to ask them to, they can call me at 614-8432, or they can call the police station, or they can call forestry department if they have the number, or they can, if they have any number for the ACE group that really deal with these crocodile, they can call them and let these people come in and try to capture this animal. I'd also like to plead to them, for the residents who come to swim in this area, to please be careful, very careful whenever you're entering the water, to look around. They have another creek about 200 yards, and that creek leads direct to the Caribbean Shrimp Farm, and you have a couple other creeks that leads off of that main creek. So it's a perfect habitat for crocodiles. So I like to ask the residents who come in this area to fish and swim to be very, very careful.
Wildlife Program Manager Shanelli Carrillo Balan of the Forest Department tells you what to do if there is a sighting of a crocodile in your area.
What we have seen in the past years is that Leeds City and Ladeville, those areas, it is becoming frequent to have reports coming from those areas when it comes to crocodiles, just sighting of crocodiles, but also crocodile conflicts. So, for example, them trying to attack your pets. So the Forest Department does respond to those reports, and apart from responding and sometimes removing crocodiles, we also educate people around the area that you mentioned. So things that we mentioned is, for example, take care of your pets. If you live close to the water area, water edges, it's sometimes good to invest in the proper fencing just to make sure that your pets are safe. Also, they hunt dusk and dawn. So if it's around these times, take extra precautions. Don't be close to these areas with your pets. Don't be swimming in these areas around these times. But what we see as well is that crocodile conflict can sometimes start because of directly or indirectly feeding these animals. A lot of the times when we respond to these conflict cases and we ask the necessary questions, it's like people have been feeding them without knowing it. So it can sometimes be cleaning your fish near to the water edge. If it's a spot where always people go and clean fish, you're indirectly feeding these animals. But also our garbage is something that we have to consider. Just having garbage in these areas where they can possibly start feeding off of our scraps. So that is already feeding them, and it's attracting them to our homes closer to these communities.
On Tuesday, Miss Universe Belize Iris Salguero got a hometown send-off in San Pedro. A day before leaving the island on her journey to Miss Universe, Salguero was honored with a farewell motorcade through the streets of the island town. Following the small parade, final preparations were made, and today, the beauty ambassador arrived at the municipal airport in Belize City as the final stop before she departs the Jewel for Florida, where the 67th Miss Universe pageant is set to take place. While she carries the weight of the crown to the international stage, Salguero is also taking her story, one of empowerment to women and children. News 5 spoke with an emotional Salguero about her message.
About domestic violence, an issue that is very, very big in our country, in all of Latin America to be specific, because of the machista culture. And it's time that that changes. And so I want to be a voice for the voiceless and for the women who suffer in silence. From the beginning of my pageant journey, when I was going through that abusive relationship, that situation pushed me to go further than my comfort zone. And that was where the growth was. And to expose myself to that stage and realize how comfortable I was like me being reborn. And that's what made me continue in pageantry, because not only did it provide me opportunities to meet amazing people, but it provided me the opportunity to heal and to realize that I'm still someone that can be looked up to, somebody admirable, somebody that can be a role model to young ladies. And so every day, all the people that I come across, I just feel grateful, because they're all part of the journey of the woman that I am and that I am becoming.
Who is Iris Salguero? So for those who do not know, we've been hearing, who is Iris?
Iris is a down-to-earth island girl, very simplistic, very grateful, very about life. I love to just enjoy life for what it is. I have accepted that life comes with its ups and downs, and I've learned to fall in love with that. And that's what I want people to do as well, to learn to fall in love with their lives. Yes, life comes with struggles. It comes with its ups and downs, but I want, when women look at me, they say that's an empowered woman. And she has a very strong story. She came from a very difficult time in her life with an abusive relationship, from a humble family, of humble beginnings, and she has managed to make it to the top. And I want that when they hear that story, that they believe in themselves as well, and that they know that they can accomplish everything that they set their minds to.
Seems so emotional. Talk to us about what's going on in your head.
Well, people tend to say that when you speak of your story, if you cry, you haven't healed, and that's not it. It's more happiness. When I think back to the girl that I was, that naive little girl who could easily be manipulated, her confidence could be taken down, I do not recognize who that is, because I am a different woman these days. I am so confident in who I am, in love with the person that I am, and there is something in my heart that just wants to reach out and help as many persons as possible. And that's the passion and the love that I'm taking with me to Miss Universe. I'm grateful for the people that have kept me grounded, that have kept my feet on the ground and told me, Iris, be yourself. Keep it humble like you always have. Be authentic. Remember where you came from, because the essence of Iris is the essence of being Belizean, is the essence of having family that comes from El Salvador as well, representing the melting pot of culture that Belize is, the 7 different ethnic groups. It's a heavy crown, and it comes with its negatives as well. But I've learned to be appreciative of it and fall in love with the process. And so I've just been keeping my mind clear, practicing gratitude, practicing meditation, which is very important, especially in these last days where, we've been finalizing so many things. But I feel prepared, and I know that I carry all my Belizeans with me, and I'm so grateful for that, and they're the ones that keep me motivated every day.
Salguero began rising in pageantry in 2015 when she was crowned Miss San Pedro, and then went on to represent Belize in the 2016 Miss World pageant. She also represented the country at Miss Earth in 2017 and Miss America Latina del Mundo in 2018. Just ahead, a sweet treat for honey lovers. But first, here's the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
Available now at Bravo Motors.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect the wires inside your home from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your smart broadband with smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
If you like your honey golden and sweet, you are in for double the treat when you find out that the honey coming out of Toledo is also helping the environment. It's a sustainably harvested honey that is bursting with flavors, but also has a value that goes beyond the taste buds, where beekeepers are learning how to make money from bees without cutting down trees. It's a livelihood initiative that seeks to position our greatest undervalued solution to the climate crisis: forests. News 5 went down into the forest of San Pedro, Colombia, to meet a 19-year-old beekeeper who is using his honey to pay his university education and keep the forest intact around his home. Andrea Polanco has the story.
Thick, gleaming liquid gold. It's sustainably harvested honey from the forests of San Pedro, Colombia. It's a raw and rich honey with fruity tones, the end product of what begins with wild bees deep under the forest canopy in Toledo. Nelvin Requena is at his apiary collecting honeycombs to harvest fresh honey today.
We extracted the super from this box, so the third box is all honey, so that's what we're going to take right now and extract back at the house. So what we did is remove lone honey from this box.
Nelvin is a full-time university student, but he also owns and manages this apiary of 45 honeybee colonies. He became a beekeeper 3 years ago.
I said, why not try it? So actually we got 2 hives at first. The first year we didn't harvest any honey. We didn't know what to do. All the bees just left. Second year we start again slowly. 2 new hives, then we went and captured some new hives. And from there we reached up to 10 box. So last year we actually harvest from 4 box, 4 strong box we harvest honey from. And that gave us around 900 pounds of honey for that year. Now we are at 45 bucks, so I think it paid off.
This beekeeper estimates that he'll harvest over 1,200 pounds of honey this season. While he sees this as a money-making venture, he and his family have always depended on the healthy forests around them. And he learned quickly that the value of beekeeping goes beyond the dollars in his pockets.
Beekeeping is one of the most sustainable agricultural practices out there. So you having bees, you need proper foraging area, which means good standing forest, fruit trees and crops. You need those areas to harvest the honey and the other products from the colony. So beekeeping allows forests to remain standing.
Forests are among the most powerful and cost-effective nature-based solutions to tackle climate change and keep global temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius. But forests around the world and in Belize are under pressure. They're being cut down for development projects, timber, and agriculture. In Toledo, it's not always easy to stop the cutting down of wildlands because for many, this is their way of life. And so for the last 10 years, the Yashe Conservation Trust has been visiting several farming villages, including San Pedro, Colombia, to engage in climate-smart practices such as beekeeping that will help to preserve these forests, which in turn will support their means of living for generations to come.
Beekeeping is such a very good response to all the climatic issues that we're having, and so it is a natural fit into a climate-smart program in terms of agricultural production that we envision, that we know is improving community livelihoods and helping in the conservation of our natural resources. Any beekeeper will tell you, I cannot have bees unless I have forest. And so our program is geared towards how is it that we continue maintaining production of the agricultural commodities that our communities depend on, but in a manner that is, one, less destructive to the forest, and so can work in harmony with the beekeeping aspect of the work that we promote. That what we do there is really to provide them with alternative ways of farming that does not require the burning of our land, so that we still maintain our forest cover.
Are they using this to sustain their livelihoods?
Certainly income is being generated that they use to sustain their livelihoods. In fact, when we did the cost of production analysis for beekeeping, we realized that it is one of the most profitable agricultural venture that can be undertaken without actually damaging the forest. The returns are very high if you're able to diversify the product line from your colonies.
And Nelvin recognizes the role of these bees, and as he explains, his apiary doesn't just benefit his household.
Ocelots, jaguarundi, agoutis, right in the same area where the bees are, so that allows habitat for those animals. So it's coexistent, so the bees use the flowers and then the animals use the fruits from the flowers, the fruits from the trees, and they have a home here. So it's benefit for both, and as well as benefit for us because we generate income from the honey that we collect from the bees. Help the community in the pollination services, because these bees we have them in this property, but the bees definitely forage out of the property. So if the farmer has corn, has lime, any fruit trees, the bees will definitely pollinate it, and we have increased yields.
There are 11 other beekeepers working with Yashe Conservation Trust. They come from villages like Trio, Indian Creek, and Bladen. Last year, these Maya Golden Landscape communities harvested 2,000 pounds of honey, and they are on track to harvest more this year within a protected area. Yashe supports them with equipment, bee transportation, and honey extraction training, which benefit the forest and their homes.
Through my experience passing through these farmers, yes, they are protecting the forest cover because it's very important for the bees. And if you see right now, there are farmers that have their bees in established milpa. What would be the reason to that? Is because they would need those bees to pollinate the corn. So at the end of the day, and I've seen that with my own eyes, I have at the end of the day, at the end of when there is corn for harvest, there's some huge corn, beautiful corns.
But also this is something that's also being done within a protected area. Talk to me about that aspect of what Yashe is.
Yes, we are working with Trio, but Trio Group beekeepers, they are working in the concession, which is the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve. Last year we harvested about roughly 600 to 800 pounds of honey from that section itself. And this year they're still harvesting, pending for before the ending of May. I do know that there is enough forage, and that could be a model as well. There is enough forage for the bees to forage, to find food, because it's a concession, it's a protected area, and there is abundant and plenty of food there.
And for the people of Toledo, they get quality honey, like this golden honey from Rakenia's farm, where it is harvested, bottled, and sold under the name 501R.
The area where we are the vegetation allows for that color, and our consumers love that golden color, very sweet, and you just get like an aftertaste when you eat the honey, So the color and sweet and the aftertaste. That's what our customers love. Well, right now all the honey is locally consumed right here in Toledo. A few has moved out district, but the local demand is there for honey down here in Toledo.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
If you want to support Nelvin Rekenya's sustainable honey business, you can reach him at 615-3115 or 634-2341. Or you can find them on Facebook under their name 501-R. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.